Welcome back to GBGuns Armory, where we are looking back on stuff that's been reviewed in the past, been out for a while, and hoping to build a forum, if you will, on each of these guns and the topics relevant to them. Today, episode 36, we're talking about the Grand Power Stribog, because I'd like to set the record straight on a few things. First off, the name, Stribog, that's how it's pronounced. I've asked the inventor. Stribog is the god of force and gusts and currents and things like that. The Stribog brings in the rain when the rain is needed and blows it away when it's not needed, etc., etc. Kind of a cool name for a large format pistol, I guess we'll call it. There are a lot of these in the US, a whole lot, and with that comes a lot of misconceptions. I had the distinct honor of being the first American to review one. That's right, I had the first video, I also had the first magazine article on these things. Been out to visit Grand Power twice. I have 5 of their variants. Also got to be the first American with a video on the 45 and a video on the 10 mil. Sorry I don't have those actually here owning them yet because, well, I really can't afford them quite yet. So, what is this thing? Well, it was designed as a military and law enforcement platform, and as a result, it's had some struggles on the US market, despite being otherwise pretty successful. Starting with the early roller delayed ones. Now this one is an A1, this is not delayed, this is direct blowback. One of the things that makes them shoot so nice is up here we have a lot of mass. That mass is attached to the carrier, so rather than all of the mass be back here and reciprocating here, you've got some forward, and that helps kind of distribute the weight. But when those roller guns first came out, they were built around 124 NATO ammo. And I've said this a million times, but I'm going to keep saying it until people get it. NATO ammo is about 10% higher pressure than US SAMI spec. What else is 10% higher than SAMI spec? Plus P. So the original ones, when they came out, meant for that hot NATO spec ammo. If someone was kind of soft shouldering or didn't have good support on the gun, or if they were using some soft ammunition, it caused some issues. It was not a problem with the gun, it was a problem with feeding the wrong stuff into the gun. The other bit you probably heard a lot about are the magazines. These are the curved ones, non-metal reinforced. There were straight ones. There's these, there's curved with metal. In fact, you can get one to run Glock magazines if you don't understand subguns. Double stack, double feed. Way, way better. Anyways, the problem with these, and this one you can see is a later one. See that nub right there? That's to idiot-proof inserting the magazines. Polymer is softer than steel. I know it's shocking, but it's true. If this was inserted and then slapped up on the magazine, which people like to do, I guess it's too hard to listen for the click or learn to feel the click. You don't need to slap the magazine. Or let's go to what's taught in many schools. When you insert, give it a quick tug. If it doesn't come out, you're in. No need to slap. But what had happened was a lot of people were taking magazines, slapping them on a closed bolt, and that little bit of extra travel and play in there that's there for reliability allowed those feed lips to smash up on the bolt, adding stress to those. Do that a few times and mags were cracking. There have been lots of workarounds and attempted resolutions put out there, but it's a simple logical thing that either make sure your bolt is locked to the rear before you insert a magazine anyways, because that's what you're going to need to do if you want to feed around, right? Or simply don't smack them. The newer mags, like I showed, have this little nub on the back. That nub helps prevent over insertion, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. The prices on these have been all over the place, and that's because they've gone through a couple different, well, 2 different importers thus far in the history. We've also had great change in economics since the first A1s came out. So you got to be prepared to bite the bullet or wait. The A3s are incredible. They use a roller delay, a mechanical delay to opening the action. As a result, you can have less mass in the bolt and you can have a less recoil. It also suppresses a lot better, which is why a lot of my guns, including this A1, are missing a throw protector, because I throw a can on there when I can. Because I can. Really, really fun gun. A lot of people compared it to the Scorpion, which is made out of plastic. This is extruded aluminum. This is meant to be a duty gun that was then made available to the general public. The Scorpion is kind of a range gun that could be pressed into duty, but we've all seen the reports of what happens with the Scorpion. Now when it comes to magazines, another variant or argument thing that I want people to understand, the double stack, double feed. What I mean by that is if you look at the lid of the mouth of the magazine, it's nice and broad. That's because as the bolt travels, it can pick up a round from left or right. When you move to a double stack single feed, such as a Glock pattern magazine, this is the SP9A3G Glock magazine fed. Now you've got a lot more work to load these things and they can be tougher. People say, yeah, but Glock mags are everywhere and they're cheap. That's true, and you probably have a lot of them, like I do. But you notice something else here. See that angle between the grip and the magazine? That's because this gun was designed to run from subgun magazines. The Glock magazine was originally not meant to be a subgun magazine. It's meant to be a handgun magazine, and it has this crazy angle built into it for the angle of the original Glock design. So to get this to feed right, you end up with this angle here, which is really tight. Now if you've got smaller hands, it's probably not a problem. Issue I ran into with this is in inserting and feeding mags or getting to them, I'm very cramped. You see how close my knuckles are to each other between support hand and main hand. Some people like that tucked in thing, or maybe you have shorter arms. I could see that work. But just to contrast, while that's fresh in your mind, the curved magazine and the original magazine gives you a lot more space. So it's a lot more comfortable. My hands are much farther apart to operate using an actual subgun magazine. All of that out of the way, these things are really cool. There's a reason why I have 5 variants of them. They are really, really nice shooters. And if you've seen my preview of the 10mm and 45, what Grand Power has done between their roller lock delay and bolt mass and spring rate has made 10mm and 45 shoot just like the 9mm does. It was really, really impressive. So be on the lookout for those. I believe the 10mm is already in the US. The 45 should be in the US shortly, as I understand it. They were showing it off at SHOT Show just last week, as of when I'm filming this. So that should be there. The other cool thing about these Grand Powers is, like all of their handguns, the controls are completely ambidextrous. You've got your magazine, bolt, and safety control on both sides of the gun. And the charging handle is reversible to run left side or right. There's also plenty of aftermarket out there if you want more of those. Another thing that I've come to appreciate about these, hopefully the camera will catch it, is this swell here makes it so that the rail is narrower than the gun by just a little bit. Why does that matter? Well, when you go to run a charging handle and you have an optic up top here, you run the risk of racking your knuckles or beating your hand against the nuts or the mounting part of that optic. That's an old machine gunner trick of doing open palm, palm up like this. This is what we did on the 249 to keep knuckles and things clear. Not for optics, just to keep it clear of the gun. But it definitely works on things like these. So these have been out, gosh, I want to say 5-6 years now. So chances are you've got stories about them. I want to hear the stories about them. I'm not a Stribog expert, but I do love them. I've got a few of them. And I've watched the brand, the fame, the name, all of that change over the years. I'm happy to answer questions that you have, that as long as I've got an answer. If not, Global Ordnance is their current importer and likely able to help you with those. But super cool gun, the Grand Power Stribog, God of Force, and you certainly feel it when you shoot. That current, if you will, the recoil is very well controlled, and these A3 models with the roller lock, really smooth shooting. I have tons of videos on the main channel showing those, how they work. Even did a video disproving, people were saying it didn't run hollow points. I took 2 guns out and ran, I believe it was 36 different loads, did a mega what's for dinner. One was suppressed, one was unsuppressed, just to show if that extra back pressure was making a difference. They both chomped right through everything. That's episode, I think this is 36, I'm losing count, of the GBGuns Armory, talking about the Grand Power Stribog. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.